I think if I have to just use one word, I would say clarity, because that's the reason why I came here. I think when I was applying for masters last year, I was looking for jobs. The one thing that I felt that I did not have at that point was clarity, and so I was looking for something that would help me with that. And I feel UFP has done that for me to a large extent. I've been able to know what exactly within policy or economics I'm really interested in. And also, I think having that urban focus with a spatial angle of looking at things. So I think that is not just something that's professional. It's also personal in the sense that we have a lot of architects here, we have urban planners, we have people from technical backgrounds that think in terms of space. We didn't do that in a normal bachelor's degree. So I think that helps a lot, not just professionally, but also personally, to understand and to look at things. My expectation when I applied for this was basically that I want to get into a job that allows me to work with the government as much as possible. Like, I want face time with government stakeholders, I want face time with people who actually work on these policies so that I can know how things are done on ground, and also basically learn how to advise governments and work with them. Um, I feel that a lot of the job offers that I received before UFP were not something that aligned with what I wanted. Um, so I wanted to do a program which basically gave me a focus, and that the urban focus here was important, but also that the organizations that I saw that UFP generally partners with for internships and all, I thought that would really help me to work with the government, to get into policy making, and basically become a consultant, if I have to say. So I think that not just that professional growth, but also the connections and also the kind of partnerships that IHS has with other organizations. I think what usually happens when it comes to diversity, and this is something that I saw at Delhi University as well, that classes are diverse a lot of times, and if you have certain affirmative action measures, you would have a diverse class. But I think organizations usually don't teach you how to value diversity. When we had our first introduction week itself at UFP, one of our main classes that Gautam took was about diversity. And so we were taught how to not just see each other, but also listen to each other and also value each other, and in turn value diversity. Um, I think that's very important if you make that very clear on the first week itself, that this is what we value as an organization, and this is what you should also take forward in your own life. I think when we are back at our PG where we live, it is something that complements our understanding of each other. We are able, because we live each other, we understand each other even better. So I feel that adds a lot personally as well. And even in, I think, work, I can now think from more perspectives because I've listened to more perspectives. So I think that really helps me a lot, at least, that I know how to value diversity and how can I bring diversity wherever I go. So I think I'll start with just a story. When I emailed Gautam for the first time for some, I think, minor thing which we were just talking about, and I happened to email him, I got a reply within like an hour, and I was very surprised because I was used to not getting replies at all. I remember when I had asked my professors for recommendations when I was applying abroad, they did not reply for like a month. So, I mean, my usual perception was that professors are busy people and therefore, you don't expect anything out of them. I think the faculty here at IHS, because you have that relationship from the first day, that, it's a first name basis, you break that barrier, the very, oh, sir, ma'am barrier on the first day itself, that helps a lot. You know how to set your expectations then and what to expect from the people who are teaching you. And, Gautam and every other professor, every other lecturer here does maintain that thing that, we are teachers and you are students. I like that. That power should be transparent. That's when it can be held accountable as well. So I think that's what's very different, that, the amount of approachability that we have here at IHS, it's very, very starkly different to be honest, from what I at least had back in Delhi University. I think the electives part for sure. Um, because when we were in commons, I think we did study a lot of things, but it was also that, everyone is not interested in everything, right? So I was also not interested in everything that we were being taught. So I think when you get into electives, you finally have that choice that, you can pick two or three things that you really like. So the electives that I picked, I think my first one was National Urban Missions, and then it was Urban and Regional Economic Development. And the last one that I did was Governing Mega Infrastructure Projects. So I think these three were electives, or were basically courses that I always wanted to study even before coming to UFP, and I did not know about them much. So yeah, that is one. I think the second thing is the overall structure. I really like that you slowly start by questioning things. Then you try to understand why things are the way they are. What are the bottlenecks, basically, let's say with government? Why do governments function the way they do? And then you try to solve some of those things when you reach the electives. So it is not just trying to do a workshop on solving things from day one, but you get into it gradually. But also, it's a short time frame, so it's not like it's consuming a lot of your time. I think that helps a lot, to me at least, because I wanted to develop that solution oriented approach to things. So I think initially I was quite apprehensive about Practica. I think I realized the value of Practica only after it was done, because um, Practica, the one thing that I really like about it, and this is something I've realized after it was done, that it gives you the ability to approach things, as in you know where to start when you're given a problem. So I think, it gives you a comprehensive outlook on how to approach anything in life. I think not just like a research question, but also in general, if you are given a consulting case, something like that, that, you go do observations first, and then you try to develop a structure out of those observations. Then you try to develop some questions out of those observations. And then out of those questions, you try to answer some of those. So, you go through all the stages that you need to go through anyway when you are in a job, or I think any other setting if you're doing a PhD. Um, I think that's something I realized when once the final presentations were over. That's what it means. So that's something that added a lot of value to me. I know where to look first when I'm given a problem now. So I think that helps. My project is it's called Imagining an Urban Narega, and we are working with the United Nations Development Program for it. We are trying to design a national level urban employment guarantee scheme. So it's sort of modeled on Narega. Because I wanted to get into policy, I wanted to see how scheme design works and how do you improve service delivery, scheme delivery in general. So I picked this project the moment I saw it. And I think that has helped me a lot to just gradually gain an idea of what all goes into making a policy for a client, and also deliver quick outputs based on time and need. So I think that is something that I really take away from it. Skill labs, I think some of them are really helpful. Especially, I would talk about the GIS lab and the data lab, particularly because I was looking to do those. So when I came here, GIS, because the GSL lab, it helps a lot because it's a very new thing for most people, and you don't really do spatial data analysis anywhere else. In a lot of institutions in India, I don't think that's offered. So that was very new for me to learn how to spatially look at things. And the GIS lab doesn't just directly get into teaching GIS, but they teach you gradually what space means and how do you what something like a projection means. How do projections change your view of space? So I think that helped me a lot to gradually get into things, and then also pick it up very quickly when I took the advanced GIS lab. Um, Similar for the data lab, I also took the advanced version of it. The data lab helps you a lot to generally correct your own mistakes when it comes to data, because I had experience but I did not know how to correct my own mistakes, for example. Um, so I think that also gives you a list of resources on where you can look. And then the advanced skill lab was about R. So we did coding in that, and I think the hands-on coding experience with sitting in class with a lot of other people, because it's not just that you don't just write one code to solve every problem. It can be different ways of doing the same thing. Yes, I think the most recent masterclass we had was with an IS officer, Mitali Sethi. I think because I want to learn more about how governments function, I think that helped me a lot to understand from a government officer's perspective on how they go about things and how can I add value to their work. It also obviously helps you build those very necessary connections outside your own field. So we have had researchers coming in. We have had people from IIHS itself taking master classes because we don't really interact with some of them very often. And obviously IS officers and these people. I think my only critical feedback I would say with masterclass is that we didn't have enough of them. I think we could have had a little bit more, but I understand the time problem with associated with them. But I think generally, I think in terms of building connections or in terms of understanding and trying to add a value to someone else's work, I think they help a lot.